Okay, so moving on to activity number 4 of our ICT 2020 practical paper. We will be now starting the spreadsheet activity. Okay, so let's get started with that. Let's close this. It says over here, Lang Getaways offers holidays in the UK. The spreadsheet accommodation contains information on holiday accommodation booked in 2019. It has two worksheets called bookings and details. Some of the functions require you to use both worksheets. Okay, so the first thing is open the spreadsheet accommodation, open the worksheet bookings, and you have to enter these details in the header. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go to our folder and let's locate for accommodation spreadsheet. It's over here. Let's open it up and let's immediately go into the header page layout. Insert header and footer, and let's come into the header. In the header we are supposed to be entering task B1, your name, candidate number and center number. Task B1, your name, candidate number and your center number. Okay, so that's it with the header. So once you're done with the header, what I would recommend is clicking on one of these cells and then coming to view and coming back to normal view. Right now you're in page layout view, no problem, you can stay here. It's just that I prefer to go back into normal view. Okay, so I'm going to click over here and move back into normal view. Then the next question goes on to say insert a new row at the top of the spreadsheet and enter the heading bookings in 2019. So I need a new row to come above this row. So let me click over here, right click, insert entire row. Okay, so whenever you insert a new row, it will always come above where you have clicked. So right now I have clicked on row number 1. So when I insert a new row, that new row will appear above row number 1. Okay, so now let me click OK, and you can see the new row has appeared, and I have to put the title bookings in 2019. So let me say bookings in 2019, and I have to merge it from A1 to H1. Okay, merge it from A1 to H1. So let's go all the way here. So using my mouse I selected all those cells, and when you come to the home tab you have an option called merge and center. Okay, so merge and center basically means make all those cells one cell. So A1 to H1 were multiple cells, it has now become one cell. Okay, then the computer goes on to, the past paper goes on to say, set the formatting of the heading to font size 18. It should be a serif font. Okay, so a serif font means a font with pointy edges. Okay, sans serif means without, serif means with. Okay, so font enhancement, it should also be bold. Okay, so let's get started with this. Let's make it 18. It should be a serif font. Okay, so serif font, I think Times New Roman is a good example. Times New Roman, you can see it has pointy edges, and the next thing was that it should be bold. Okay, so you can press Ctrl B or you can click over here. Okay, let's increase the height of this slightly. That's better. Then the question paper goes on to say format cells A1 to H34 to show a double border. Okay, A1 to H34, which is over here. So I have to put a double border for it. So you should be able to see the double border option somewhere over here, more borders, and here you can see this is what we call a double border. Okay, so you can say you want it to be applied to the outline. Okay, and say okay. So now when you come out, can you see a double border has been applied for A1 to H34 range. Okay, then the paper goes on to say Lucia wants you to use spreadsheet tools to analyze the data for the accommodation on offer. Use the spreadsheet functions to display the cost per night for moonlight. So for moonlight we have to calculate the cost per night, so we have to use a tool, a function, to get the value of this. Okay, so now once again this is something that you have to figure out on your own. You have to understand that there are two worksheets. There is a bookings worksheet and there is a details worksheet. Okay, so when you come into the details worksheet, you can see if it is per peak season 1 per night, it is £150. If it is peak season 2, this is the value. Okay, so depending on the season, automatically the cost needs to appear over here. So the best function that you can use is something called VLOOKUP, a vertical lookup. Okay, vertical lookup, because our values are all kept vertically, they are kept in columns. Okay, so what we can do over here is we can come to insert function, and we can locate for VLOOKUP. Okay, search for VLOOKUP. Since I have used it recently, it is over here, but for you, if it is not over here, you can search for it over here. Okay, and click on go. So once you have got VLOOKUP, open it up. It asks you the first question, lookup value. What is the value you're checking? Our cost per night will appear based on the season, right? Depending on the season, only the cost per night will appear. So our lookup value is the season. So we take this. So B3 is our lookup value. The next question is table array. Table array is where are all your answers kept. Okay, so I tell my computer it's inside the details worksheet from here all the way here. Okay, so details worksheet from A2 to B11, that is where all my answers are kept. The third question is column index number. So column index number means from the table array that you just selected, which column has your answer, what is the number of that column. So per night is in the second column of my selection, so I will just come here and type number 2. Okay, then for range lookup, like I have told you all previously, if you're confused with my explanation, you can always read it over here. So if you want closest matches, if you want matches that are somewhat similar to your lookup value, you will type true over here. If you want exact matches, it should be exactly equal to peak season 1, then take the corresponding value. If that is your case, then you will type false over here. So in this case, we want exact matches. Now look, it is not compulsory that you fill this. Okay, if you want, you can keep this blank, but if you want to fill this, there are two values, either true or false. True means look for somewhat similar matches, while false means look for exact matches. Okay, so over here I'm going to type false. I want exact matches. Okay, now before I click on OK, keep in mind that when I replicate this formula, I will definitely be replicating, because I can't do this for every cell, right? That's going to be a big waste of time. So I'll be replicating it for all the other cells. So when replication is taking place, B3 is going to become B4, B4 will become B5, B5 will become B6. Okay, and that's all right. I want it to keep changing. The lookup value needs to keep changing as I keep replicating. However, the table array should remain fixed. That should not change. No matter how much I replicate, it will always be details worksheet A2 to B11, isn't it? It's always going to be inside that range. Okay, so this address, I need it locked. So let me select this entire address and press F4. Okay, so when I press F4, the entire address gets locked, which means when I replicate it, this is not going to change. Okay, now a quick reminder, on your laptop, F4 might be for some other function. It might be to increase the volume, decrease the volume, play, pause, increase brightness or something. So you may have to press Fn F4. Okay, column index number, there is nothing to be done, and now you can click on OK. Okay, so you can see peak season 1, the cost per night is 150. Shall we check and see, is it correct? Yes, it is correct. Okay, then display the breakfast cost for a stay at Moonlight. Display the breakfast cost. Okay, so breakfast cost, how do we get it? Breakfast per stay. So in the details worksheet, they say the breakfast is 10 pounds. Okay, so breakfast is 10 pounds. So what we have got to do is we have to get those values over here. Okay, so what we have got to do is, once again, we can use VLOOKUP. Okay, and what are we checking? We are checking the peak season, because the breakfast value will be decided, sorry, the breakfast per stay, the amount will be decided based on the season. Okay, table array, where are your answers kept? My answers are kept from here to here. Okay, then column index number, which column has your answer? Keep in mind that column number 3, okay, from your selection, the third column has your answers, so just type 3 over here. And range lookup, we want exact matches, so over here we will be typing false. Okay, so do not forget, when we replicate the formula, we want B3 to become B4, B5, B6. We want that to keep changing. However, the table array should not change, that should remain fixed, so we press F4. Okay, and now you can go ahead and click on OK. So you can see when it's peak season 1, the breakfast per stay is 10. So that's working. Okay, the currency symbol and all that, you can put it later on when the paper tells you to do so. For now, you can just keep it as it is. Okay, the question goes on to say, display the total number of bookings made in 2019. Okay, display the total number of bookings made in 2019. So total number of bookings, what we will have to do is we will have to add up all these bookings, isn't it? Each of this is a booking, isn't it? If you see over here, each of this is a booking. So basically we need to count how many uh, rows are over here, because each row is one booking, isn't it? Each row is one booking. So we need to count how many rows are over here. So what you can do is you can use a function called count. Okay, you can use a function called count. Is somewhere over here. Okay, sorry, count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. No, we don't want numbers, we want it to be text, so we can go with count A. Okay, count the number of cells in a range that are not empty here. So I want to count how many cells over here are not empty. So not empty means it has been booked. Okay, so let's take it from here to here. Okay, so from A3 to A34, tell me how many are not empty. So it's telling me there are 32, which means 32 bookings have been made. Like I told you, every row is for one booking. Okay, every row is one booking. Okay, so I have told my computer to count from here to here how many are blank. So obviously there is nothing blank here. Instead there are 32 cells that are not blank. So it means there are 32 bookings that have been made. Okay, so now you can go ahead and click on OK. So over here it says 32. Okay, then it says enter formula to calculate the income including breakfast for Moonlight. Okay, income including breakfast. Okay, so over here, as you can see, the cost per night is £150. Okay, and the number of nights is 14. Okay, so there are 14 nights that are going to be used for this booking. Okay, so over here it tells us that we need to find the income. So what we can be doing over here is we can put equal, because every formula begins with the equal symbol. What we need to do is, the first thing that we need to do is we need to take the cost per night. Okay, so let's open brackets, the cost per night plus the breakfast amount. They need to pay so much for breakfast, multiplied by the number of nights that they will be staying. Okay, so I hope this is clear with you. What we are doing is we are first taking the charge per night, the cost per night, plus they need to pay for breakfast the next morning. Okay, the breakfast charge. So we add those two, multiplied by the number of nights that they will be staying in this accommodation. Okay, so this will tell us the total income. Okay, the income with breakfast charges. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say discount for early bookings for Moonlight. So discount for early bookings, where do we get that information? If you come to the details worksheet, you can see there is a discount given. A 10% discount is given for holidays costing more than £1,300, and a 5% is given for all other holidays. Okay, so basically what needs to happen over here is we need to check, is this value greater than 1,300? If it is greater than 1,300, a 10% discount should be given. Otherwise a 5% discount should be given. So how do we do it? We can use something called the if function. Okay, so let me come over here and let me take the if function. Okay, so what is my logical test? My logical test is this value greater than 1,300? Okay, is the income F3, is it greater than 1,300? If it is greater than 1,300, I want to give a 10% discount of the income. From the income, a 10% discount will be given. So income multiplied by, you can type 10% here, but it would be better if you refer to the cell, so that if this value changes, automatically it will get updated. Okay, so instead of typing 10%, click on this cell, details B14. Okay, and remember that this address is going to be a fixed address. Okay, every time we need to multiply by details B14, isn't it? So it's a fixed cell address. It should not change when we replicate the formula, isn't it? So let's lock it. Let's press F4. Okay, now look, I don't want the entire address locked. I don't want F3 locked. I only want details B14 locked. So I only select that specific part and I press F4, which means only details B14 needs to be locked. Okay, then what if it is false? If it is false, we give a 5% discount. If it is not more than 1,300, we will be giving a 5% discount. So F3 multiplied by, so once again, let's not type 5%. Let's instead refer to this cell address. Okay, once again, this cell address is going to remain constant. I'm going to lock it, absolute cell reference. Okay, and I hope you're okay with this. So we are checking, is F3 greater than 1,300? If it is true, we will be giving a 10% discount of the income. If it is false, we'll be giving a 5% discount of the income. Okay, so when you say okay, you can see that this is greater than 1,300 and this is the amount of 10% of 2,240. Okay, Superb. Next, the question paper goes on to say the final income. Okay, so this is easy. Okay, so this is how much normally they should be paying. This is the discount amount that they would be receiving. So the final income, yes, you guessed it right, it would be this minus this. Okay, so this is finally how much the customer is going to have to pay. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say replicate all functions or formula for all bookings. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's first replicate this from here to here, then let's go ahead and replicate all of these together. Select it from the corner, you can pull it down. Okay, excellent. So your replication has been done. And then the question paper goes on to say use functions to display the average cost per night. The average cost per night. Okay, so over here we have to display that value, average cost per night, so we can keep it over here. So what we can do is we can use the function average. Okay, let's come to functions and let's search for average. Average is over here. If you cannot see it, you can type it over here and you can click on go. Okay, so average, what is your range? I want to check from here to here, I want to check. Okay, from here to here I want to check. So from C3 to C34, what is the average? The average is 98.4. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say the total income for 2019. The total income, so this is how much the company is earning. So the total income would be, let's keep it over here, and we can use something called sum or auto sum. H3 to H37, not H37, H34, isn't it? H34, from there to there, and enter. Okay, so you can either put the values all here itself or you can put them below their respective columns, no problem. Okay, that's not a problem at all. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say format the bookings worksheet so that currency values show the currency symbol with 2 decimal places. So currency values show the currency symbol. So cost per night is a currency value. Let's click over here and let's put the pound. It has 2 decimal places. This is a currency, this is a currency, this is a currency, these are all currency values. So let's click over here and put the pound symbol. This is a currency value, so let's do the same thing over here. This is also a currency value, let's do the same thing over here as well. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say headings are wrapped to use the space efficiently. So headings are wrapped, so we can make this slightly smaller. Accommodation name can be made a lot smaller. So you can wrap text it, click on wrap text. So if you just increase the size of the row, you can see the name appears in 2 lines inside one cell. That is what we call wrap text. Okay, so cost per night also I think we can do the same thing. Okay, we can wrap text it. Number of nights, definitely we can do that. Okay, click on wrap text. Breakfast per stay, we can do that too. Wrap text, let's make it slightly bigger. Income, we can make it smaller. Discount for early booking can be made a lot smaller. Wrap text. Okay, so the space is being used well. You can see this is the end of the A4 paper, so this is fitting inside one A4 paper. This part is slightly coming out, we can work on that. Okay, all data is visible, so all data is visible, yes. The next thing is grid lines are displayed when printed. So like I told you all previously, these lines which do not have borders, they are known as grid lines. Okay, so let me just show you right now. Before I enable grid lines, this is how your printout is going to look. Can you see there are no proper lines visible? Okay, because we did not put borders for each of these cells. Okay, so if you enable grid lines, these light colored lines will become visible. If you come to page layout and if you say print the grid lines, now when you come to print preview, can you see those lines are now visible? Those are what we call grid lines. Okay, lines which do not have borders. Okay, then the question paper goes on to say save the spreadsheet as task B1. So we can save it as, you can use F12 and you can save this as task B1. Save it. And then the question paper goes on to say print the bookings worksheet in landscape showing the values on no more than 2 sides of A4. Okay, so what I'll do, I think I can easily fit this into one A4 paper. Okay, I can easily fit this into one A4 paper. Let me try Control P. This is going down, so what I would do is I would use a simple trick over here. Let's make the margins narrow. So that too did not work. So let's change this to fit all rows on one page. So now I have all my data on one page. Okay, worst option, you can click on this, fit all rows on one page. Okay, and then you can go ahead and print it. And then the past paper also tells you display formula view and ensure all functions and formula are displayed without truncation and will print on no more than 3 sides of A4. Print a bookings worksheet in landscape showing the function and formula. Okay, so how do we display the formula? We come to formulas and we say show formula. So now everything gets out of gets too big. Okay, so you will have to manually adjust them. So what you can do is you can click on this button. When you click on this button, all the cells get selected. Now just come and double click on one of the column widths. Can you see where my cursor is? Just come and double click, it will auto adjust all the other columns. Okay, there you go. Is it going inside 3 A4 papers? Let's check and see. Control P. Yes, it's inside 2, so this is fine. Our past paper has allowed us to stay inside 3, but mine is fitting inside 2, so that's completely all right. Okay, for you, if it is not, you will have to manually adjust the columns until it fits inside 3 A4 papers. Okay, for me it's inside 2, so no problem, I'm inside the limit. Okay, but for you, if it is going to more than 3, you will have to manually come and adjust these columns until they fit inside 3 A4 papers. Okay, make sure the entire formula is also visible. Okay, and then with that we have come to the end of task B1. Okay, so up to now I hope things are going well. I hope it's making sense to you. I hope you have got a chance to practice and it's going well. Okay, worst case, if things are not going too well, you can't understand things, you have my email address. Okay, you can get in touch with me and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, this question hasn't finished yet. There is a task B2, there is a task B3 as well. We'll do this in our next video. Okay, see you in the next video.